name is Nadya Agrawal. I'm a writer. I run this magazine called Kajal. We're online and in print. We focus on topics in the South Asian diaspora. 5 years ago, I was actually coming into the beginning ideas of Kajal. I was really active in this Tumblr community, and I just really wanted to find a place to put all that work. And I was also really thinking about how I was going to make my start as a writer, because I didn't really have bylines, I didn't really have the pedigree or experience or a J-school degree. So I was just sort of looking for a way to build something that would satisfy all of those goals. And that's how Kajal started, and it'll be 5 years ago this December, so it's been like a pretty good run since then. Carving out space is kind of like a very interesting expression to me, because I don't really know how to do that. All I really know how to do is to like show up to my work and like be really thoughtful about the work that I'm putting out there, and to really stand by it, and to just sort of be clear that I am doing good shit. I think you can't really control the actions, movements, or feelings of other people. All you can really do is control your work. And so I would say go work first into every situation. In undergrad, I studied economics and English literature. I double majored. I was doing economics because that's what my dad wanted me to do, and he was paying for my school, so I couldn't really fight him on that. And then English because I felt like I had too much time in my schedule and I wanted to like balance out my sanity a little bit. And then as a postgrad, I went to the London School of Economics and I studied international development because I wanted to be able to write about it. But I would say, like, for any young writer who's in college right now or who's thinking about college, like, that's really your time to like soak up everything you can about writing, like to read all the books, to go to all the teachers, to make all the mentor-mentee relationships you can, to like join, you know, the lit mag, the newspaper, the college radio, whatever it is, to like hone your sense of communication and to hone your sense of writing style, because like you're gonna learn a lot of stuff on the job eventually, but like if you really want to have, you know, your own voice and your own sense of self before you do that, like that's the only place you really can do that, because you'll never have that much access to just sheer learning again. And I really, really recommend taking full advantage of it, because like I didn't do all that when I was in college. I just sort of really thought that I couldn't do all those things because I wouldn't be able to balance that in school, but you find a way to do everything. Yeah, your job really in college is to just read a lot and to write as much as you can, and to find someone who's willing to read your work. Like that's what the professors are paid to do, so take advantage of that situation. Like send shamelessly off to your college lit mag because they have to read your stuff, so like just do it. And just sort of like get really used to like rejection, get really used to like pulling yourself up with a stack of books and doing what you need to do to get your work to the next level. Writers are used to a certain level of failure. Like when you send off to magazines to get printed, or you are writing to agents or whatever it is to get, you know, your work out there on the terms that you wanted to get out there, you're gonna get rejected a whole lot. And there's also gonna be like a sense of personal failure when you just like, you know, you don't have the right word, or like the piece that you're working on doesn't fit together the way you want it to or the way you thought it would, and it's like your expectation doesn't meet your reality. And like that's kind of something that I really recommend getting used to. Like a lot of writers have actually made it their goal to get 100 rejections in a year, because it means that they're putting themselves out there, and eventually some of those rejections turn into approvals, and some of those approvals turn into opportunities and things like that. So if you don't get rejected, you're not going to get the go-ahead to do something really cool. So really recommend chasing rejection to a certain level, just like making peace with the fact that like a rejection means that your writing maybe isn't at the level that someone wants it to be at, or maybe that, you know, the literary industry isn't where it needs to be to accommodate your work, or whatever it is. Like use it as like to, you know, to fuel yourself to either improve your writing or to just be like more aggressive in the way you take on, you know, entrenched interests in these industries. I definitely recommend doing that. Rejection sucks, like being snubbed sucks, but I've also realized that like just because you get rejected from somewhere doesn't mean you can like never apply to it again. You can't, like you pitched one editor and they said they didn't want it, you don't have to go a year without like pitching them again. Just like once you get a rejection, that means you can send like 5 more stories to them. Like you get one rejection, come back like stronger, literally, because Otherwise, you're not going to be able to work at all. I get so many terrible pitches, and like I mean that lovingly, like Beyonce. Like I don't want to be mean when I say that, because like everyone who sends me a pitch is trying. I just wish they tried harder, because it's not just shooting off an email to somebody and expecting them to somehow like make do with your weird communication style or your inability to write an email. It's really like there is a formula to writing a pitch, and basically the rule is give that person everything that they need to make that decision. Like, don't be like, hey, I kind of want to like maybe write about this subject that interests me. Like, be like, no, this is my angle. I want to interview these 4 people. I expect it to take this long, hit this deadline, have this word count. Being an editor and like being on both sides of like the pitching relationship, being the person who's pitched to, but also the person pitching, like I can't afford to like not be clear in how I communicate. Like, I have to really make sure that not only am I extremely aware of the editor, the kind of pieces that they review, the kind of work that they put out, the stuff that they enjoy working on. I have to do all that research, because, you know, I'm not gonna like send a pitch to like the sports editor when it's a fashion piece. Like, it's somehow it's as basic as that. If you don't know who you're talking to, that pitch isn't gonna go anywhere. So that's step 1. And then step 2 is I want to be extremely clear of like the outline of my story, because I want them to know where I'm coming from, and then I want them to also tell me whether I'm, you know, barking up the wrong tree. Like, maybe their perspective is different, or maybe they would like me to incorporate something else. But if they can't see all your cards, you know, laid out, they can't help you, and they can't see what the story's going to look like, and then they can't imagine it in their magazine or on their platform. So really, it's about like you helping yourself in the situation by being as clear and as thorough as possible, but at the same time, like, don't send them a page-long synopsis of what your article is going to be. You should be able to explain it in like 1 paragraph or less. Yeah, I get a lot of young people who email me saying that they want to start something, they want to do something, or if I will support their fledgling movement on social media. And it's like, I understand that desire to make something and to put it out there and to be validated by people who are receiving it. I get that. I just don't think that the intention matches the energy often. Like, I've seen so many young South Asian, you know, magazines, platforms, collectives make a really big deal on Instagram, being like, you know, say like, no, we're coming soon, like in 2 weeks, like check us out, and then they just don't update. They'll have so much energy for like a month, and then it'll just peter out. And like, the problem is they have realized that the workload doesn't meet their expectation, and that they thought it was just going to be all fun all the time. But a lot of it is like being up at 4 a.m. answering emails from India, or just sitting down and like editing and like figuring out how to communicate effectively. And it's really boring stuff a lot of the time. The glamorous stuff usually happens later, and it takes a lot of work to get there, and oftentimes you're so busy you don't even realize that you like hit your goal. It just feels like work at that point, and like that's part of it. There's a lot of work involved. I don't know how to like say that more effectively, but it's a lot of work. It requires a lot of people with a lot of crazy energy and passion to do it, and to do it well. Like, a lot of people come to me and ask me if Kajal is my full-time job, because they think it's my full-time job, and it's not. Like, that's also the reality of it, is your passion project isn't going to pay your bills for a really long time. So like, if you don't have the money and the energy for it, it's not going to work. And I would say actually that you're better off supporting something that already exists. Like, if all you really want to do is like take dope photos or like write great articles, like do those and submit them to other publications. You can still put your work out there, but now you don't have to like own, operate, and like take on the risk of a whole platform anymore. Like, if that platform fails, people will always be aware of that. But if like your article gets put out on someone else's platform, you're no longer really like responsible. Like, that outlet now has to take responsibility for your work, and that's actually really great, especially when you're a young creative. Like, just do stuff, make mistakes, let other people deal with the consequences of it, and then when you're like ready to like build the thing, like you'll have so much experience behind you, having seen what other people have done and how they succeeded or failed. As I've gotten older, I have realized that there are like things that just like make me feel good, and I like to do them regularly. And they can be really wide-ranging. Sometimes it's like a glass of wine when I do my evening writing, or it's like making sure I get up early to go to the gym, or doing like a face mask on Sundays. Taking my vitamins also is like a really nice centering process, because when I remember to do it, I feel really good about myself. Like, in terms of like rituals, there aren't a lot that I'm like really good at being consistent about, except like watering my plants. Water my plants, I compost, I do a lot of like cleaning around the house. Yeah, it's just like stuff like that. That's like really just about like taking care of people around me, taking care of the lives I'm responsible for. That's really nice, because it's so separate from all of my creative pursuits. It's just important in itself. I think it's like self-contained, which is really nice.